views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Get fired up for Spirit Fire Radio, your guide to practical mindfulness and meditation. Join hosts Tim Darter and Steve Kramer and discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day. Watch yourself connecting in a whole new way and find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio. Now here's your hosts, Tim Darter and Steve Kramer.
Hello and welcome to Spirit Fire Radio. I'm Tim Darter. And I'm Steve Kramer. It's great to be with you today. We are back with another step of Spirit Fire's meditation practice. Our meditation practice here at Spirit Fire is called the Practice of Living Awareness. And each week we invite a guest to the show who we sort of feel that their lifestyle, their job, their passion emulates the step of the practice that we're meditating with. And this week we are meditating with a step called Interlude. We are at step number 7, which is such a magical number, and this is a really magical step. It's called Interlude, and it's all about taking a break. It's about not having any real intention, just allowing the moment to be. We're about halfway through the meditation practice, or the steps within the practice, so it's a 14-step practice, and we're on step number 7. So at this point within the practice, if you've been meditating with us during the week, you know that we ask you just to sort of sit back and assess, or actually enjoy that pause, that sweet moment of, as Donna likes to say within the practice all the time, of a pregnant pause. It's full with your experience of the last 6 steps. So this is a really lovely moment, and I am super excited. I know Tim is too.
Yeah.
We're having a guest on this week that we met at a retreat several weeks ago. That's the joy of the two of us being at Spirit Fire Retreat Center. We meet so many fantastic teachers and just lively, lighted beings. And I can tell you, when Miss Jessica Kern walked into the room, we went, all right, Jessica, what are you doing here? And it turns out that she taught a segment of a yoga class, and she taught Qigong. Now, Qigong is something we hear about all the time, and Tim and I know nothing about it. So the joy of this show is we always learn something, and I know that at the end of this show, I will have learned quite a bit, and I have a sneaking suspicion that me and Tim may be practicing Qigong in the morning. So let me tell you a little about Jessica. So Jessica's a licensed massage therapist. She lives in Western Mass, and also neuromuscular therapist. She also is trained in zero balancing and AIS, which is active isolated stretching. We're going to hear about all that. She's also got a real connection to the animal world. She practices equine and canine massage, and I know we're going to hear a bit about beekeeping. I'm so excited. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve and Tim. It's great to be here.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm just going to start right out and just ask you to tell us a little bit about Qigong. And, you know, I know when there were a lot of people here at the retreat here when you were here, that were relatively new to yoga, definitely new to Qigong as we are. And, you know, they really needed a pause. There were several people at that retreat who really leading a modern life. And I think that we have this sort of idea that this sense of urgency, and it's almost a created sense of urgency sometimes, but nonetheless, we live it. And I know that so many people at that retreat got so much out of your presentation. So as they asked, and as you presented, what is this stuff called Qigong?
Such a great question. And the juiciest first answer I can give that I loved, because I got to watch people who had never done it before try it, is it is such an experiential thing. It's so much better experience than talked about. So for everyone listening, you're only getting a fraction of what it really is. And what it's based on is how to specifically and clearly pay attention to the way that energy moves through the body through a series of really gentle movements that embody all of the planes of movement that we do as humans. So it's like the Cliff Notes version of movement and attention.
Nice. And we always have energy moving through us. So I can imagine when there's an intention of gentleness that we can sometimes bump up against the energy that's constantly coursing through us that might not be so gentle.
Yeah, and the fun thing about what I taught a set that's called the 8 sections of brocade. So it's a set of 8 different movements that are what I'll say housed inside or contained inside of a beginning point and an end point. So it really is this stuff in between, which is, it's really a movement interlude between the beginning and the end, which I kind of love. I'm so excited that I get to talk about interlude with you both today.
Truly, interludes are sweet, right? Because really you get to assess where you've come from that beginning point and get some sort of notion of where you might go and realize, there really is no beginning and no end. And in the middle, you get to sort of be in that sweet spot.
Yeah, and that sweet spot was really nice to see in these folks that I got to spend the weekend with, because it was so nice and they were so interested and open to trying. They didn't know what to expect. They didn't know where they were going. They were willing to just follow the movements. And because I didn't give them a lot of explanation to get them into their minds about things, I think it really helped to offer them the space to be in the body, to be in the moment, and to just get to try something on for size and just get to kind of like stop and feel things. And because of the spaciousness of Qigong, where there really is a pause between each of the movement sets that's defined by the beginning and ending, which there's a physical opening and closing that is easier shown than described, but it's there. You'll have to just trust me on that for those listening. That really does give, especially a person that's never experienced it, a moment to just sit and be and wait and be curious. I think in a way that I haven't found anywhere else in my life. And I think it's one of the things that it serves for me personally, but also the people after the little mini class were so calm. And I was personally sort of surprised. I was like, wow, it's fun to see a group of beginners to see what this stuff really does to a new practitioner. It's like, okay, what does this do? And I think it's just such a great forum to work with people who have never tried it before, to really see, okay, what is the medicine of this to someone who doesn't have many preconceived notions about it, which, yeah, so it houses a lot of the simplicity of interlude as well in that way.
And I love that you said, very few words, because within this step of the practice, we like to do just that. And isn't that the beauty of a pause, is there's really no intention except to have no real strong intention. We're not going to do anything except notice. We're just going to be for a moment. And that's sort of so, we're ingrained to always be moving, always be responding, always be sort of reacting to influence and to stimuli. So it sounds beautiful. So I'd love to just ask very quickly, because there may be listeners, as Tim and I were when we asked, we said, Jessica, what is it that you're doing? Please tell us about Qigong. I can just sense the experience as people left, that experience, and they really had shifted, their energy had shifted, and it really allowed them then to move into deeper levels within that retreat. So just a few quick, shot off questions. People are standing, they do this practice, or sitting?
Great questions. So people are standing when they do the practice, and they start with feet together, and it's coordinated with breathing. So starting with feet together, you take a deep breath in, and as you bend your knees to breathe in, as you exhale, you step to bring your feet apart, and that is the opening for every single movement. And yeah, so they all are done in standing for starters. And then quickly I'll explain that the closing is the reverse. So whatever the foot position is for the exercise itself, for the actual set of the Qigong, at the closing, you take a deep breath in as you bend your knees, and then you place your feet together to exhale as you straighten your knees, and you're standing straight again.
And that's the end, and it's closing, huh?
Right.
And all the juicy stuff that happened in between. And how long?
Yes.
How long is traditionally a Qigong experience?
That's a great question. So I would say it definitely depends, because I did what's called the 8 sections of brocade, but there are several different sets depending on who your teacher is. Another set that I also do that I held off on because it's a little more involved, there's a 12 set or a 12 exercise set that is also done. I would say at minimum, you could get away with a breath as your Qigong for the day.
Oh.
and truly, there have been moments where if there's a lot going on, a breath can be all that's needed to be called upon to recenter and rebalance. And I'd say on average, my little mini Qigong set is very doable every day. It takes between 5 and 10 minutes.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice. Well, we are coming up on a break, and I really want to hear how you discovered Qigong. You know, you work with clients. Your clients you deal with pain management. You deal with stress relief. You know, people with different ailments where the body is just sort of out of sync, and there's an environment I can sense within a person's energetic that isn't allowing balance, and your work seems to be creating that balance, and Qigong seems to be this sort of 10-minute experience of what does balance look like, and what does balance what does achieving balance contain. So I look forward to hearing how you found Qigong and how you incorporate that into all of the other wonderful services that you provide. So we'll be right back after this break with Jessica Kern.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Shine on Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine on Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information. What if your body and mind were the compasses to the secrets, mysteries, and magic of life? Glenna Rice, co-host of The Questionable Parent, is inviting you to access all that is possible. Glenna is a 10-year certified veteran access consciousness facilitator who offers an amazing variety of life-changing classes and workshops. Work with Glenna from anywhere, with teleclasses and workshops all over the globe. To learn more and see Glenna's current schedule of events, classes, and workshops, visit glennarice.com.
Almost everyone at some time in their lives ask themselves, what am I? Most of our questions are ego-generated and simply don't address the problem of our false self. It's time to relax your ego and embody your soul. Dr. Dan Cohen, neurologist, inventor, and author, has created tools to awaken, a new way to transform from who you thought you were into what you truly are. Visit toolstoawaken.com today.
Welcome back to Spirit Fire Radio, where this week we're speaking with Jessica Kern. It's been a great conversation so far, and I look so forward to our time after that pause of commercial breaks. I hope everyone just let their mind clear and just listened and sat and enjoyed. So welcome back, Jessica.
Thank you very much, Steve.
So I want to hear a bit about you. You know, you're hearing me stumbling on words because, wow, neuromuscular therapist. All right.
You did very well, very well.
Active, isolated stretching. I mean, these words, what I find fascinating about words is, I of course I know what neuromuscular means, and zero balancing. I just get a visual as soon as I hear that. Active, isolated stretching. So a lot of your work is really about focus. It seems to be about returning someone to what I would say is alignment and balance. Tell us just a little bit about your professional life, like what your day looks like. I know pain management is a big part of that. So tell us a little bit about it.
Great. Sure. Well, as you can see, there are a lot of things that I combine and that I integrate to help folks really pay quality attention to themselves. I would say at the heart of the matter, that's what it's about, is quality attention. And really, my favorite practice of all of them to give and receive has got to be zero balancing. I think it informs the way that I am in the world. There's a lovely statement that somebody very wise said, and I won't remember their name right off the top of my head, but it's how you do anything is how you do everything. And zero balancing has taught me since I've been doing it, I started it in 2008, received my first session in 2002, actually, and promised myself I was going to get back to it. And it took me 6 years to do it, but I did it. And it was that powerful to receive that I was like, wow, I got to learn this stuff. But I had to grow up for 6 years. And then, so what zero balancing is to me is, again, a way to slow down, take my time, and really explore what it means to pay quality attention. And so my life, my dedication in whatever I do with people is to, first of all, to model what it is to pay quality attention, but then also to offer them the space to do the same for themselves. And so that would be the embodiment of what I do.
Well, I'll tell you, your website is so simple. It's so beautiful. The words are chosen so specifically. So if anybody is interested in learning more about Jessica, it's jesskern.com. It's JESSKERN.com. And, I just would love to read some of these words. You say that you believe in the importance of working collaboratively with your clients to provide solutions to pain. I mean, right there, the word solutions is amazing. You believe in the importance of working collaboratively. I mean, if we're not working collaboratively with our, pain management technician, I just love this idea of really working collaboratively and connection, interconnection, and finding solutions. There's just beautiful words on your website. And tell me the quote you said again. You said, the way we do anything is the way we do everything, correct?
Yeah.
So beautiful there. It reminds me of the Tao. So it's interesting that for this segment of Interlude, I turned to the Tao, and on our website I put verse 9 from it's the Tao Te Ching, which is just one of my favorite pieces of writing. And interestingly, it's of the Chinese lineage, which is Qigong as well. So news has just been so off-putting in the last several weeks, and I seem to always turn to the simplicity of the Tao. Whenever I really need to just find my center, whenever I need a personal zero balance. So I just would love to read this quote to the listeners. It says, "Fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife and it will blunt. Chase after money and security and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity." I love that. So
my hairs stand on end when you read that. It's beautiful.
Isn't it? So much wisdom, right? I mean, keep sharpening your knife and it will blunt. How often do we all just sharpen our knives and sharpen our knives and sharpen our knives? We want our tools to be so refined. And it's the moment within the meditation practice when we say, trust that your tools are there. They are refined. Trust, sit back, step back, and allow. Just allow it to be. I sense that that's so much a part of your work. And really, I love that it says do your work and then step back. There's no mistakes. That Qigong, you take a step to open, the sequence happens, and you step back. There is something to step into something new, to stepping into a pause and to stepping back. So I love all these words. It's exciting to me.
That's wonderful. And when you read that, it's the do your work and step back. The developer of Zero Balancing, whose name is Fritz Smith, he says that so often in the classes that he teaches. The specific, and we read from the Tao every morning of Zero Balancing class when we take classes together, which is so special. So to hear it now is like coming home. It's really just so sweet.
I had no idea. So Zero Balancing, just tell me very quickly, because to me still, I don't know. Is this something that you're doing hands-on? Does this involve, it sounds almost like it involves machinery, no? Is it manipulation?
Not at all. It's a great question. And my favorite way to explain it is quality attention through touch.
Okay.
And so Qigong is quality attention through movement that's very specific and that has a very specific beginning, move, and pauses between. Zero Balancing does that through a touch protocol. So it's a protocol that's hands-on. The mechanics of it is that a person is lying on a treatment table, fully closed, and I go through a process of evaluating joints, starting at the feet, going up to the head, and coming back down again with the intention of paying quality attention to the person all the way along the way of their foundation joints and also their freely movable joints, so the arms and legs, but also really the core, that which is the essence of the person from the midline, from their axis, from their balance point. And I get to work on how to touch that with quality, which is one of the most amazing gifts, both to receive and to give.
I see. I love you. Every so often,
thank you. I love you.
To say I love you because my heart bursts when I hear someone talk about the service they provide, and I kid you not. I mean, it just my heart just opened hearing, because how many people really do not give themselves that kind of attention. Our bodies are amazing what our bodies can withstand and return back from. And to give yourself the gift of someone who can really go to the core. So I had no idea. That's amazing. We could have you on the show constantly. We do,
Please. I love this.
Asana is a step. Central channel is a step where we're learning about the energy that flows right in the middle of your spine that connects your basic center with your crown center, all of that. And I just want to bring this up as well. We've done several shows on animals. I love always been connected to the animal kingdom. I have pulled animal spirit guide cards since I was a kid. I still do it.
Oh, sweet.
So I would have to tell you what I've said many times on this show, and I find it to be so fascinating. We teach along the ageless wisdom line, so it's kind of really ancient lineages of sort of Buddhist tradition, of wisdom traditions, and they all say that within the animal kingdom, horses and dogs are two of the 5 animals that are sort of on the incarnative path to, is that a word? reincarnative. I think I just made that up. Anyway,
but I knew what you meant. It meant
they are evolving to self-observation. So they are evolving to being able to see themselves and to self-observe, which means one gets into the realms of a soul. So I find it so wonderful that your service is also extended to horses and dogs, because to be able to focus attention on the animal kingdom in that way, to really gently, with purpose, with intention, connect to their being, they respond. And not only do they respond, but you are actually doing magical, incredible work within that species, within that kingdom. So, girl, you are working some magic in your world.
Oh, my goodness. I feel it, and I feel very, very blessed to be able to do so. And for anyone who has never kissed a horse on the forehead, you don't know what you're missing. Oh, my goodness.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, we just that just went so fast. I love when we have these segments between breaks, and I'm not gonna dog the breaks, because this is all about
no pun intended.
Right, and no dog. I'm bringing up the dogs are on my mind. Tim's got amazing dog energy sitting here beside me. You just mentioned dogs, and the guy lights up. Yeah. So, we're speaking about animals. When we come back, Jessica, we are just going to dedicate the rest of this show to talking about bees. You know so much about bees.
Right.
When you left Spirit Fire, you were glowing because you were going to go to your beekeeping endeavors. So we're going to go to a break, and I want to sense your glow again when you talk about bees. So we're going to be right back with Jessica Kern, and we're going to talk about bees. Yes.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Badili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in to Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine, and my show is Sheer Alchemy on TransformationTalkRadio.com. When we're bogged down with our emotions, the hardships that plague us in our relationships, at work, our finances, we literally can't see the higher plane where we could be operating from. Tune in to Leslie Fontaine, Sheer Alchemy on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back to Spirit Fire Radio. We're having so much fun with Jessica Kern. We're talking about all kinds of juicy things. We are mostly talking about step number 7. So number 7 is the juiciest number of all as far as I'm concerned. So it's all juicy here today on Spirit Fire Radio. We're talking about interludes, and we're talking about conscious moments of giving yourself a break from something so specific, a break from activity, and just a time of noticing. So Jessica teaches Qigong, and that has so much to do with the pause, as we often say in the practice, the pregnant pause. So it's noticing the fullness within the stillness, noticing the movement even within the stillness. And Jessica, we were just talking about zero balancing before the break. Well, during the break, we were talking about Tim's dog energy and that he's the
yes.
Tell me what you said. He's the diligent gatekeeper, I believe, is what you said.
Yes, very much so.
We were talking about Tim's wolf energy. He's got dog energy. Totally. He so knows about, that stillness. And so Jessica, stillness must be a big part of the work you do. Talking about zero balancing and really paying attention to, this connection you must have with your clients when you're working with their joints, you're working with their energy, you're working with these areas of their body that might need very subtle, very minor adjustments. So a meditative approach must be a part of that. So I'd love to hear, are you a meditator? And I'm just almost certain you are.
That's a great question. I am, and I would say I'm a newer meditator in the last several years. So I love meditation, and I think it's when I miss a day, I notice. I really notice. And I'm happy to report that I am a human that misses days from time to time. So for any other humans listening, don't be discouraged if you miss a day here and there. It's nice to be able to come back gently.
Yeah. Gentleness. It's such a great word. So I love that we just mentioned meditation because that's what this show is all about. But I'm really on my seat's edge to talk to you about bees.
You got it. Well, me too.
You're
it's
a beekeeper.
Not difficult.
And tell us, how did you discover this?
Fabulous question. So I would say that for me, it really began the origin story of why and how bees was I was doing my first week of meditation at a retreat center in Vermont that my friends have. And I was there. So this was the first time in my life. This was just a few years ago that I had meditated for 30 minutes every morning. And at the end of the 7th day, again, wonderful number 7, I was feeling so open, feeling so connected with the natural world, with myself. And I wanted deeply to go out. And for some reason, I was just pulled to harvest some wild peppermint that was by one of the ponds to make some tea. So this was my last day. It was just this really lovely way to connect with the world. And then here I am by the pond harvesting this beautiful peppermint. And all of a sudden I look around, and I should say, by the way, I am barefoot because we walk around barefoot everywhere, for better or worse, in this place, and it's wonderful. And I'm barefoot, and I look around, and I'm surrounded by honeybees. They're all over the flowers of the peppermint. And I don't feel afraid. I don't feel worried. I don't feel nervous. And the side note is that I should say that stinging insects and I did not start life on the same page. Now, this is,
what do you mean by that?
I really, just the buzzing sound alone used to get me so panicky when I was a kid. And
really?
If you asked me, oh, go ahead.
No, I said, really? Wow. Yeah, go on.
Yes. So, if you had asked me if I was going to be working without any gloves on, barehanded, deep in hives of bees, I would have laughed at you probably. And then I would have said, neat. But so in this moment, I was surrounded by honeybees and I had no fear. I really had this energetic feeling of being adopted into this world that I knew nothing about. And it was a feeling. It wasn't a thinking. It was really a feeling and a being there that there is no substitute for. And that was the start of my very wonderful journey of connecting in a very close way with these flying beings.
Well,
no pun intended, actually.
Can I jump in there? Yeah, that's what I was going to jump in and say. You've got a website called Be and Be, and that's just great. I mean, so much of your work is about being, and there are no coincidences. Again, I'll say, when there is a sound that we pronounce when we say be and we say being and we talk about bees, and it resonates within you. It resonates with your body and it resonates within your soul. And really, again, I love that it was the number 7, that you were on the 7th day. And really, the number 7 is about ceremony. The number 7 is about organization. It's about magic, and magic being the conscious use of energy. And if we were going to really describe animals or insects or beings, sentient beings that really hold this idea of ceremony and organizational structure, it's the energetic number of architecture, of engineers. So whenever I say any of those words, I think of bees. So it all comes together there somehow. So
totally.
Tell me like a little bit, like what have you learned from bees, first of all? Like or is that too deep? Is that too big? Like just tell us.
Is there ever such a too deep? I don't think there's no such thing as too deep. What have I learned from bees? Well, I will say first and foremost, tying back into Interlude and really pausing, I thought of you and Tim the other day because I knew this radio show was coming up, and the other day was actually yesterday. I was out with my mentor at Warm Colors Apiary in Deerfield, Mass. And there's something that happens every time that we open a hive, or every time that I open a hive. There's a moment in what's called the inner cover. So you have the outer cover of the box, which if you look at a beehive, that's what you see. If you take the top off of the hive, there's something called an inner cover. Gosh, we could riff on that for forever. An outer cover and an inner cover. So we'll hold that thought. And so the inner cover, there is oftentimes what's called propolis, which is a product that the bees create in the hive, and it's actually part of their medicine. What it does is it creates a seal between the boxes and the inner cover. So I have to use a hive tool to open that inner cover, and the inner cover takes a little more work to open and can be a little jarring for the bees. So every time I am getting an inner cover off, I open the cover, there's kind of a jarring, and then I pause. And what it's taught me, and the bees have shown me, is that they really appreciate it. It's a moment for them to organize, to arrange, to know that I am coming, and to know that I'm not a bear. Bears don't pause.
And
humans can choose to pause.
Yeah. In that moment of pause, I was really there with you, sort of visually and energetically. Before I ask you the juicy, deep question, I'd like to ask: do you sense that it's disruptive in any way? I mean, you say it's disruptive, but the bees, they don't sort of go on attack or defense. Is it something that they get used to? You're not sort of like breaking down something they've worked so hard to build. There's no kind of like, it's all part of a process.
That's a great question. And what I've also learned both from my mentor, Dan, and from the bees themselves is the best stewardship. And this is actually really appropriately, there's a lot of this in zero balancing and in Qigong too. The best stewardship for the bees specifically is to be as invisible as possible and to do as little inside the hive as possible, because on the day that I go in, I can interfere with processes that I know nothing about because I'm entering their world. And so it can be as disruptive as them losing up to 30% productivity. So a side note to that is that they can produce a surplus of honey for about 14 days out of the entire year. And so if I go in on one of those 14 days, they may lose, a tenth or more of their entire food supply for the season, which is powerful.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially because I don't necessarily know what day that is. It's a little like Russian roulette. So I really have to mindfully know exactly what I'm going to do before I go in. And I've really taken pauses to keep checking in about that is pretty vital to them.
Wow. And, don't make me quote the Tao again. When you talk about, you talk about doing as little as possible when entering the space and allowing adjustment. I mean, it's all throughout the Tao. So it doesn't surprise me that within zero balancing that this is certainly prevalent, this sort of idea. And, I do energy work as well. And there is a moment that when you are working with somebody's innermost, you're working with their truth, you're working with their soul, if that's the word you wanted to use, there is a pause that is so necessary to happen because this is sacred space and this is an environment that you are entering by your intention, by their allowing, and it is a real moment of, okay, we now need to integrate my energy into this scenario, and there is much respect, there is much pause, but I can sense the similarities, and I love that you would pick that up, and that you're entering their world, and it just, all of the language you're using is reminding me of energy work, and I'm sure, as you say, it's very much the same as with zero balancing. So go on.
Beautifully said. I'm really appreciating that, and I'm like, well, if you wanted to quote the Tao again, feel free.
All right, I'm flipping the pages while you're talking.
That's great. So to say more about bees, any particular questions, or I could just keep going.
Well, yes. I mean, I would love to hear a few qualities. I'd love to hear you tell us, in your words, a few qualities of bees.
Great. I would say the first one that came to mind as you asked that is they are incredibly energetic. They're so sensitive to energy shifts in the field. I've noticed this because there are days that I've gone out where I don't have as clear a read on what I'm exactly doing there, and things do not go as well, and the bees are not as happy with me as when I go out and I'm very clear. And there's something actually very, very visceral and kinesthetic going on, at least the working theory of it is they are very sensitive to electromagnetic pulses in the air. They're sensitive to pressure changes. They are conduits of sensitivity in every way. This is actually beautiful. Dan Conlon, again, my mentor, he calls them the Swiss Army knife of the insect world because they have so many different tools on their body. But
wow.
The one I'll talk about, it's great. The one I'll talk about is that first of all, they have antennae. They have antennae that extend off of their body to read their environment. But not only do they have antennae, they have pincers on their front legs that are specifically there. And the only reason that they're there that I know of, entomologists could tell me otherwise, is to clear their antennae. They have evolved a specific tool to clear antennae, which is, gosh, if that's not a message, I just think it's so amazing that the body of the bee evolved such that was visualized or deemed extremely important to keep clear.
Wow. I love that you have this utmost respect for them. I can just hear it in your words. And, would have never put bees in that same category. When you say how sensitive they are to electromagnetic fields, we are electromagnetic. This whole entire universe is electromagnetic, and we wouldn't have manifest existence if it wasn't for magnetism. So the very fact that they are so sensitive to it, and reading it just basically says they are insanely present and insanely aware. So I can imagine as you approach a hive, they not only sense you coming, but they sense everything about the energy with which you are approaching and how you deal with them, which is not unlike dealing with dogs and horses, but on a really sort of unseen level, right?
Right. I do have to say that my experience with dogs and horses has totally informed the way I am around the bees, which was actually kind of surprising to me. And
that's cool.
My favorite thing is that the bees, I am quite certain, know how much I totally love them. And one of the things that I love to do is, no matter how busy I am, I make sure every once in a while I go out just to enjoy being with them. And one of my favorite things to do is if I am in the hive and there's like a little extra honey that's sort of put somewhere where I touch it, if I have sticky fingers, I'll close up the hive, I go about my business. But if I see any bees that are just resting on or around the beehives, I'll feed them by hand.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's so fun. They stick their little tongues out and they know there's honey there, and we just hang out. Oh, and you can pet them. And they sit for this. They groom each other all the time. So I was like, well, why can't I groom them? And so I am the bee lady that actually grooms her own bees. I don't know them all by name. There's about 50,000 in each hive, but I love them all.
It's fascinating. My dad's a photographer, and he loves macro photography, and he takes some of these pictures of bees that you stop and you cannot move your eyes away. You are in a state of awe, of wonder. I mean, those are two words I love. I mean, that is the stuff of life. I mean, that is evolution. When you experience wonder, you are evolving. Like, consciousness is going right on, keep it going. And with bees, it's right there. They've got that fur vest, and you just can't stop staring at this beautiful fur. You think of an insect and you just don't always think that they're covered in fur. It's amazing.
All right.
So I want to ask a couple sort of really quick questions, because once again, time is just flying.
Amazing.
Do you personally sense that bees are on the way out? Have we really tipped the scale to the point that bees are in danger?
That's a great question, and one that I really treat with great care, because I'll say this, by nature, me personally, I'm a very hopeful person, and I'm very grateful to be working with Warm Colors Apiary, who I believe is working on a specific solution to a lot of what I will call multifaceted issues around what's going on with honeybees. I would say, yes, the honeybees are in trouble. And interestingly, if you were to ask me what the number one issue is for the honeybees, I would say it is a deep need for better communication between humans.
Right on. Right on.
Truly, truly. And I mean, I was driving with Dan, my mentor, in the car yesterday. We were talking about some of these concerns, and he said one of the biggest needs is for us to get really well practiced at being willing to really be present and talk with each other. I'm paraphrasing, but that was pretty close to what he said, was to be present and talk with each other about why this is happening and about how multifaceted the problems with the honeybees really are. And the exciting thing is there are so many solutions that we can all do, including but not limited to the fact that, well, for one, our entire country in the last couple of decades has been re-landscaped, and it has eliminated a lot of the bees' natural food sources. So we could just plant a bunch of beautiful wildflowers that are what are called bee forage, which are bee food everywhere, and that would actually be one of the biggest helps we could start with. So, I mean, really simple, really doable things to help our honeybees that Dan and his many collaborators are working on, specifically, not just him, but also with our own United States Department of Agriculture. So really just I've been able to jump into this beautiful body of decades of work that he's teaching me about. I could go on, but I realize we're probably wrapping up on time.
Just in case people are really curious about this, I've seen their website for a minute. Could you tell us the name of the apiary again?
Absolutely. So it's Warm Colors Apiary, and it's in South Deerfield, Massachusetts.
In a simple,
and I believe. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, a simple Google search will get you there because that's how I found it, I believe.
Great. And if it's not warmcolors.com, it's warmcolorsapiary.com. I would have to look that up.
And your blog is so fun. So let's tell people
thank you.
It's beeandbee.com, correct?
Yes.
And it's BEE and BE.
That's right.
Well, Jessica, I really want to read again from the Tao because you got me so inspired.
Yay.
Ask you one last question, which I think is going to just be awesome, if I must say so myself.
Great.
I'm going to read verse 15. It's a little long, so I'm going right into it. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment, not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. Oh, right?
Yes.
It's beautiful. And, I just want to be silent after that, but we can't. We're on talk radio.
Right.
Jim and I are moved to silence, and we get a little like, hey, guys, it's talk radio. So listen, that whole quote is so much about, can you be patient and allow? Can you just let it happen? When we take 10 minutes out of our day to meditate, when we say, I'm going to take a step to the side and move into awareness through a Qigong practice and step back to end that beautiful moment and allow it to penetrate my being? Or can I be kind to myself and go see Jessica Kern and really allow to find my core and see where I am not creating an environment that is without pain? I'd love to hear in that moment when you break the seal on a hive and there is that pregnant pause. What are you experiencing in your words? What does that feel like to you, or what is that experience to you?
The first words that come to mind, my brain goes away. And I'm just there.
Nice. And I'm sure the bees are so aware that you are aware and loving that you are aware of them. And isn't that, this is called the practice of living awareness. And I love that you brought up that learning to communicate is what the bees are asking of us. They are the ultimate communicators. They are the ultimate builders. They are the ultimate respecters of the queen.
True.
Popular culture, political culture is just asking us across the board as humanity to, respect the divine mother and respect the queen that lives within all of us. So I can see that bees can and should be and hopefully will be at the forefront of us discovering so much about ourselves and our capacity to create beautiful things and create balance and harmony. So that was long, but it reminds me of you. Every word I said, I was picturing you and the wonderful work you do.
Aww.
So I just want to have our listeners, we just have a minute left, so I want to tell our listeners, JessKern.com is Jessica's professional website. beeandbee.com is her beekeeping blog, which is just fabulous and full of great stuff. So Jess, thanks so much for being with us. We're just going to have to whip it to an end.
Thank you, Steve and Tim. And this was so much fun.
It was a great conversation. So next week, we move into the second segment of the practice of living awareness, the second 7 steps, that juicy number. And we move on to asana. We're going to talk about the Alexander technique, which you know a lot about too, Jessica. We're going to talk once again about alignment and of really inner sensing when we are aligned. It's going to be great fun. So we'll hope you'll join us. Once again, Jessica, thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Fire Radio. Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Eastern, for your weekly guide to meditation and living with awareness. Join hosts Tim Darter and Steve Kramer and discover the ways that consciousness is being cultivated in everyday life. Connect to your day in a whole new way and find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio. To learn more about Spirit Fire, visit spiritfireradio.com.